The report assesses the situation in legislative terms and in practical terms. I think that the progress is very good in almost all blocks of this roadmap. We identify some concrete initiatives that Turkey should take, for example, to introduce a fully biometric passport, for example, to adopt laws which are enabling proper integrated border management, for example, to implement in full and in detail the law adopted this spring on foreigners and aliens, and to, let's say, adopt a certain number of legislations, in particular on the data protection, in protection of children, so the international conventions that we are identifying, and to pursue the reform of the justice system, the fight against corruption, and the reform of the anti-terrorism law. It's not a deadline, but I'm convinced that in 2 years it's doable. No, I think that we have to make the distinction between... I think that we should create the condition to get out from this sort of mentality and this sort of fear that people are flooded, that countries are flooded. I think that we have to create the conditions for free circulation of persons, because this is in the interest of the European Union, this is in the interest of Turkey. Create also more conditions for working permit, but what we have seen in certain cases has been abuse of the system. Therefore, we have to, let's say, work together in order to limit all this, but there is certainly not the fear that there will be a flood of Turkish citizens which will enter in the European Union in an illegal way. One thing are the illegal migrants which are now present in the European Union, which are mainly reaching the European Union through the Sicily Channel and from other, let's say, routes. There's been, everybody knows, there's been a peak of irregular migrants coming from Turkey, through Turkey, actually, into the European Union in the year 2010 and 2011. Now there has been another moment due to the high pressure from Syrians, you know, at a certain moment in 2013. In any case, you know, there are procedures to identify also whether these people are coming really through Turkey, if there is the necessity to send them back to Turkey, which is not necessarily the case for those applying for asylum in the European Union. So all this is regulated, and therefore, you know, I don't believe that there will be an effect, for example, in 2 years, that you will discover that there are hundreds of thousands of irregular migrants that suddenly should be returned to Turkey. I don't believe that. The figures are not this one, and you know, each case of admission must also be assessed for its own merit. So it will be done in a much smoother way. Let's stick to facts. We have produced a progress report, which is, in my opinion, very balanced. I think also the Turkish analysts and press consider it balanced. All in all, I think that there are more in the positive than in the negative. Still, areas in which we expressed concerns, independence of the judiciary, respect of fundamental rights, division of powers, etc., are important. So therefore, but we propose, therefore, to work together in order to address this. I see that from the government side, the EU Accession Action Plan, which has been adopted by the government under the leadership of Minister Volkan Bozkır, is responding to this. And therefore, what I see is that there is on both sides the willingness to keep working on concrete things in order to let's say, advance in this process. So let's work in order to make it possible.
So some illegal immigrants from Europe will be readmitted?
The only thing I can say is to call for calm and serenity in these very important issues. You know, our position concerning the gas exploration of the Republic of Cyprus are well known. These are defined by the international law, and therefore we call on the respect of the sovereign rights of a member state of the European Union to go on in working on its exclusive economic zone. But we also said, you know, that there should not be escalation, there should be de-escalation, because since the beginning of this year, when the joint statement was published in order to launch the bi-community negotiation, the European Union unanimously was very much encouraging to do this. Therefore, let's now de-escalate. you know, our formal position on the right of the Republic of Cyprus to do what it's doing is clear, it's said in our progress report, and we call on Turkey in not creating useless provocation. This is our formal position, therefore there's nothing new on this. But at the same time, you know, our position is also that we have to de-escalate, because an important process was launched, you know, and we hope that this process is relaunched now. Let's allow dust to go down, but let's now restart these talks. There is no alternative to these talks, and therefore we call really on both parties to resume these talks, because this is in the interest of everybody. I think that this is an old debate that we already had. I don't think that Turkey has really to lose. By the way, we are not talking about Turkey, we are talking about Northern Cyprus, and we are talking about the fact that our encouragement is that the two communities arrive to an agreement in order to have a unified Cyprus, as it was said in the joint declaration at the beginning of this year. This remains our line. Let's encourage to do it. Turkey, I don't think it has something to lose. I think that we are all embarked into a process which nobody has put in question, which is the one of the enlargement. This process can lead moment of difficulties, moment of, let's say, which can be easier. Let's bring it forward. Then let's address, you know, each issue at the right moment. But if we lose the reason why we enter into this accession process, which is to create more prosperity, more stability, and more peace among us, certainly we can be tempted to be deviated from that. But this is not our purpose. The European Union and the European Commission in particular will not be losing this end result.